My poor innocent eyes. I'm crying. I have no butt and I must pound. Wait, what? This is a hit it and quit it type of dinosaur. Hello creeps, Andy here. It is almost Valentine's Day, the time of love. And so I thought I would ruin that for you today and introduce you to some of these erotic novels that I have read. I'm not a huge fan of erotic stuff, just so you are aware. It kind of just makes me a little bit uncomfortable. So this video was definitely interesting, but if you yourself are a fan of erotic literature, you know, that's good. That's great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not personally for me, but I did pick a few erotic romance books to read so I could share with you today. I'm gonna go through, tell you what they're each about, and I also filmed myself reading the more erotic parts, so it's not a reading vlog, but I thought that that would be more entertaining than me just reading you a few lines that I thought were funny. I'll be periodically putting in clips of me in the past reading those parts. I also will be giving the plots away of these books, so if you care about that, you know, you might want to skip, or if you're sensitive to any erotic stuff, probably not the best video for you. I'll put in clips of me reading these, but I might have to edit them down or keep them a little bit more tame just to stay monetized. I don't know, we'll see. But let's just start at the beginning. The first book that I read was How to Lose an Extraterrestrial in 10 Days. Now, this book is about this reef. Hold on, that stands for something. Oh, robotically engineered enemy fighter. And he's basically an alien that was abducted as a child and then implanted with a robotic computer to decrease his ability to feel emotion and just make him a good warrior. Basically what I'm trying to say is this is the Terminator plus porn. So anyways, he ends up on Earth because one of his missions was to destroy someone that was here, and he ends up being intercepted and stopped. His computer is removed and he starts feeling human for the first time, even though he's not human. But it is explained in the book that humans and aliens, there's only a few genetic differences between them. And so a lot of our lives are similar. We have similar foods on our planets and we have similar hobbies and we look the same, which is why he looks just like a typical man. Anyways, our main character here is a woman named Evie. Evie's family is really big in politics and stuff, and she's kind of the black sheep of the family. And this reef came down to try to murder her brother-in-law, who is also an alien. And so she ends up falling in love with this reef. And the back here, it says, Susan Grant is back with another sexy tale of interplanetary passion. That's who it's by, Susan Grant. And it just says she is desperate and Reef is incredibly sexy. 10 days, she tells him, but it turns out that 10 days just might not be long enough to spark a true love that's truly out of this world. So this was the most character driven of the stories, you know, it's quite long. And so the actual erotic bits were very minimal compared to the rest of the story, and you got to kind of know everything. It wasn't really a story for me, but it wasn't bad either. You know, you got to know the characters and stuff. Well, let me show you the a little spicy parts and then I'll kind of end the wrap up there. Okay, my dudes, too important for this to wait. I'm this much through the book. I'm near the end, okay? And I was starting to lose hope that this was an erotic novel. I mean, I'm fine with that because I'm not a big fan of erotic fiction. Anyways, we're this much through the book and things are heating up. Let me read this to you. Okay, so Evie unbuttons her denim miniskirt and it says she walked to Reef, letting her hair spill forward. She gave him a come hither look. You know when an erotic novel is heating up when someone gives someone else a come hither look. She dragged a finger through the valley of his pecs. I'm gonna cry. I'm already so uncomfortable. Following the line down to the waistline of his jeans, stopping just short of his bulge. I can't be serious. By the way, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I should be sleeping and I'm reading about alien erotic. What has my life become? I'm actually crying. Tears of sadness. Okay, there's only one way we're going to resolve this trust issue, and that's by making love. Imagine someone saying that to someone. This might be the best book ever written. Blah, 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 blah. His eyes had turned deep blue radiating a different kind of intensity. His next breath was a hiss. One yank opened the remainder of his buttons. He sprang free. Oh Lord, that was such a visual. I think I'm gonna go back to reading extreme horror. This, I think, has corrupted my mind even more than that, if that's possible. He sprung free? No! She closed her fingers around him, moving from tip to base in one firm stroke. This is porn. This is lady porn. Ay, 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 ay. When he touched her there. So he can spring loose, but he has to say when he touched her there. He kissed her next. There. Or like this. His finger slid through her folds? Excuse me? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my gosh. I'm going to church after this. I only hope I do not disappoint you, sweet Earth girl. Oh, this is too much. As he fitted himself inside her. Okay, well, that's a weird way to put it. Wow, I waited 291 pages to read that. Huh, wow, I need to go to bed and call a priest. Yeah, so I'm still thinking about her folds. So I also wanted to say that the author just seems badass. It says here that she was one of the first women in history to graduate from the USAF Academy. She served in the military as an instructor pilot and achieved the rank of captain. And now she's a commercial airline pilot and she flies 747 jumbo jets. So she just seems like a badass in general. And then on the side, she just writes erotic extraterrestrial fiction. Like, what a badass, you know? So I thought that was cool. I also did think that her knowledge of robotics seemed, I mean, I don't know anything about it, obviously, but while I was reading it, I was like, oh, maybe she knows what she's talking about. Like, it didn't seem too ridiculous, the things she was saying. It seemed like she kind of knew what she was talking about. So that is that one. And by the way, if you like erotic fiction, you might enjoy these books. None of these books were like bad. I've read some bad books, you know, and none of them to me were like awful. They were all pretty well written and interesting in their own ways. And so yeah, if it's your thing, you might actually enjoy these. Next, let's go to our second book. This one was called Unhinged, an erotic door romance. This one is by Vera Valentine. I'm gonna let me from the past let you in on the content considerations as well as kind of a synopsis of the story. Well, this one starts off by saying this story was created from 100% human ingenuity and probably more than a little mental illness. So, content considerations. Unhinged is a paranormal romance story that involves a human woman getting it on with her front door, which later turns into a guy. Okay. This story contains doorknob insertion, voyeurism, allusions to man-on-woman violence, breaking and entering via master key, secret underwear theft. That's literally on an episode of SpongeBob. Wood putty use? Condom use. Ay, ay, ay. Lubricant use? Is this really content considerations? What the man? Is this where we are? Like, I understand putting warnings for people, especially if it's a more extreme book, you know? But like, there's no possible way that you can account for anything on the planet that might upset someone, you know? And I don't feel like that's up to the writer to have to list every potential thing that could potentially upset someone, like condom use or lubricant use. That's excessive. So I don't know, maybe I will eat my words later and there's a reason for it in there, but that seems a little ridiculous. If I've missed mentioning any content considerations you feel should be in this list, let me know. The safety and comfort of my readers always takes precedence. I mean, that's nice and everything, but like, is this where we are, where every book's gonna have a content warning in front? You know what I mean? Like, it's literally a story about a girl banging a door. You know, like you kind of know what you're getting into before you're reading it. That seems a little excessive, but I'd like to know your thoughts on it. Brian? Yeah. Can you come here? Okay, well, let me read you the first line. As a door, I don't know when I fell in love with Tana, only that I most assuredly was. It may have been the first time. She had laid her soft fingers on the cool brass of my knob. What about this one? It may have been when I noticed the care she always took sliding the key into my lock.
Well, You're in for an interesting read, that's for sure.
The wood putty that she's talking about, it's just that a door got shot and wood putty was used to fix the hole. How could that possibly be a content warning to anybody? Anyways, so as you kind of heard, it is an erotic door novel. This door is sentient and he protects the inhabitants, this woman who lives inside of her apartment. He also knows that because he's a door and he can see out into the hallway, that her landlord is a murderer, and so he's trying to do his best to protect her from him. As far as why he's sentient, I will also put in a clip here. A man in sandals during a rainstorm approaches the door and he says, "You fuck one girl as a weather event or a bird or her own husband, and all of a sudden you're the bad guy." And then he says, "I'm giving you the chance to convince your lady love here or there to set you free." So I'm assuming that this is Zeus, because that's what Zeus did. He would like turn into a swan to try to like womanize women. So I think that this is involving, I mean, it's obviously involving Greek literature because he says Hera. So this is an interesting turn, because as ridiculous as it is that a door is sentient and later turned into a man, it kind of makes sense when you involve Greek gods. Okay, so Zeus fucked a tree. You might be my son. See, a lot of things happened in the grove, and there was this perfectly positioned knothole on this really sexy tree, and the mead was flowing freely. He gestured in a rolling circle with his hand. You get the point. All right, fucking trees, fucking doors. I think we've got all bases covered. It being involving Greek stories kind of makes it more digestible for me and less ridiculous, because there are some wild stories in Greek mythology. So somehow that just made me just accept that it was a sentient door and go along with it. So Zeus comes to him and he says, "Hey, you can be a guy again, but she has to fuck you as a door first." And oh, I don't even think I could read that. Rocking backwards to slowly impale herself on the front door. Okay, that actually wasn't that's all that happens. And then it says she gushed around me with a keening cry. Okay, that wasn't bad. Maybe that's all the insertion we'll get. Oh God, you scared me. My eyes were closed, you scared me. My ability to speak coherently fell away as my entire existence tried to spill itself into her cleverly twisted grip. That is a way to describe that. Okay. Okay, he's a door again. She's straddling him. Don't ask. And I think that's probably the end of the sexual stuff. Now this one again was one not for me, but if you're into erotic sentient doors, you might like this one. The author, the About Me for Vera Valentine, is an unapologetic book huffer and devourer of stories, and I thought that that was fucking funny. So anyways, yeah, an interesting read. Now, my friends, we are off to the third book we read, which is called Taken by a Pterodactyl by Christy Sims. And this, as you might already have guessed, is an erotic dinosaur, specifically pterodactyl, love story. It's not a love story at all. It's just erotic fiction. But anyways, there's this woman. She is off planet. Her and her family live on a different planet. There are different jobs that they can have, and her job is to, she's basically a sheepdog, where she has to protect sheep and herd them herself all day. And what she's trying to do is protect the sheep against these pterodactyls that are flying around. But when one swoops her up, pulls her into his nest, and removes her clothing, well, let's just see what happens. It's just describing the creature's genitals as thick and pink. I know, I am disturbed as well. I just didn't make that connection that I'm reading about bestiality, because dinosaurs aren't real. I mean, they're real, but they're not around now, you know? But it's still bestiality. Oh geez, this is, I think this is too much for me. We're almost done with this one, thank goodness. I don't think I could read any of this. There was no romance, no tenderness. No. She's yelling lines and she's like, She heard these lines plenty of times in pornos, but to be shouting them from the treetops while she got pounded by a pterodactyl was even hotter than the hottest of pornos she's ever seen. Ew, it's musty smell. And knowing she was full to the brim. I am so glad that dinosaurs are no longer alive. My poor, innocent eyes. What have I read? What have I read? The creature had carried her up, and she was fairly certain it was not going to offer her a ride back down. This is a hit it and quit it type of dinosaur. If she doesn't get home soon, her parents will worry. Good, maybe they'll come look for me. But as soon as she thought that, she wondered if she actually wanted them to come and find her. Sure, she loved her parents, and she had a good life at home, but what the pterodactyl had made her feel was unlike anything she'd ever felt before. If you have any questions or comments regarding this work, I have lots of questions, ma'am. Many questions. Now, my biggest issue with this one was that the main character had my mom's name. I did not like that. That made me so uncomfortable. So this one I think was my least favorite for that specific reason. I mean, it was spelt differently, luckily, but I was not a fan of that. I don't know. This one also really bothered me because the bestiality aspect, like I just couldn't get over what I was actually reading. This last one I read was called Pounded in the Butt by my handsome sentient library card who seems otherworldly but in reality is just a natural part of the priceless resources our library system provides. This is by Chuck Tingle, my friends. And this one is, as you would suspect from that very long title, it is about being pounded in the butt by a sentient library card. And this one actually has kind of a sweet, I think, underlying meaning about just how magical libraries are, which I thought was kind of fun. But basically it's just about a man who's kind of down on his luck. He can't pay for his internet. He lives in a really small apartment and his neighbor is a balloon artist animal, and so he just hears balloons popping all day, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but that would actually drive me pretty crazy. I might murder a clown. Anyways, his friend suggests that he goes to get a library card, which he pronounces libracard or something like that. And so he goes on this magical mission to find a library card and then realizes that he just meant a library card. He gets disappointed, but this library card is a giant man-shaped rectangle that can float that ends up showing him both the beauty of the library as well as his genitalia. So let's take a look at that one. I don't know exactly how one gets pounded in the butt by a sentient library card, but I'm excited to find out with you. This is 50 pages long, so I thought, oh, there's gonna be a setup of a story before we get into like the porn, but I guess not. We're on page 10 and it says, "It's only now I realize just how handsome this sentient library card is. The plastic rectangle's playful grin cutting through my heart with unexpected depth. My breath catches in my throat as a surge of arousal pulses through me." Anyways, they are now in the library after this giant rectangular sentient library card is off duty, and they go to a different part of the library. The card begins tearing his clothes off. Okay, I start caressing his rectangular body. I reach the living object's waistline. Okay, this is what I'm curious about. Oh, okay, so he just has a normal genitalia then, I suppose, since it is currently swelling below his fingertips, so. I watch with lustful eyes as the sentient object's member grows larger, eventually transforming into a fully developed tower of stark blue manhood. Oh, please don't use the word cock-hungry haze. Now it's time for you to check me out. Oh, that's such a good pickup line for a library card. I don't think I can read a lot of this, but let's just say it ends with the entrance of my tight back door. Fortunately, this library card has nothing but patience. A skillful lover who allows me a moment to adjust to his phallic enormity. Not one to rush out the late fees and fines, Yorko takes a similar approach with my asshole. Oh, that's it. There's a bonus story. I have no butt and I must pound. Wait, what? Okay, I'm really glad this isn't 50 pages. I have no butt and I must pound. What? That's so funny. It sounds like I have no mouth and I must scream. I wonder if that's kind of what it's based on. I will save that beaut for another day because I think I'm all erotica out. But before I let you go back to, you know, what I'll film later, kind of the whole wrap up of everything, I would like to read you a few of my favorite Chuck Tingle books that I've come across. And I don't know if these are all real books. I just googled Chuck Tingle and looked through the book titles and pictures on Google and stuff. So I think that these are all of his books, but I wanted to read you a few that made me giggle. This one is called The Fear of the Unknown Gives My Butt Pause, but then I realized how powerful and unique I am, and we pound enthusiastically. Not pounded in the butt by anything, and that's okay. Creamed in the butt by my handsome living corn. Pounded by my 5-star rating, I gave my own book because I think I did a good job and I deserve it. My house is haunted by this haunted house and he pounds my butt. My personal favorite, Happy Birthday Dracula, now pound my butt. Mothman did a great job installing my home audio system and now he's eating my ass. And that, my friends, is the end of the titles that I have come across. So back to the rating. So there isn't too much to say about this one, you know? It's you just get pounded in the butt a little bit by a library card. So yeah, overall, I would say that these were interesting books that I've read this week. I would say that they definitely ruined any concept of love that I've ever had. No, but in all seriousness, they were actually decently written, fun, cute little erotic stories. So if you're actually into erotic stuff, you might actually enjoy these. I was gonna rank them for you, but I don't really have a ranking just because they're all so weird and different that there's not really much to rank, you know? This one was definitely more, you got like a full story in there. The library card one was pretty funny, and the door one was pretty funny at times too. And the dino one, I would say no thank you because the main character who fucked a dinosaur had my mom's name. Otherwise, that is, yeah, my time with erotic novels. A lot of being filled to the brim, a lot of slits being fondled, and a lot of synonyms for phallic objects. So yeah, I think I don't know if I learned anything, but I sure did traumatize myself a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about these. Also, just so you know, I accidentally bought way more than what I could fit into one video. So let me know if you want a part 2 of this because I already have quite a few stories lined up. Let me know if there are any specific ones that I need to read or any ones that you've read that you thought were hilarious. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day thinking about fucking a sentient door. Bye guys!
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.